Gisela, this is your channel Inglés para tu vida, and today we have a very interesting class. I've been asked about the differences between the present perfect and the simple past, and this is what we are going to learn today. But before we start, I'd like to invite you to subscribe to Inglés para tu vida. It's absolutely free. And don't forget to share this video with all the people who want to learn English. So let's get started. We have here the present perfect. When do we use the present perfect? We use the present perfect to talk about events in the past. And the time is unimportant, unknown, or secret. It means that we are not going to specify the time when all these situations or events happened. Have a look at the example. I have already seen this film, and I'm not specifying when. So, if I use this expression, it means that it's unimportant, unknown, or a secret the time when I have already seen this film. And also, I'd like to mention that the expression already is an indicator that we are talking about present perfect. Have a look at the second example. So, we use the present perfect to describe your experience, to talk about your experiences. Have a look. I've traveled by train. I've traveled by train. What's special about this sentence? Well, here I'm not mentioning when this event took place. I'm not mentioning if it happened last year, last month, etc. Just I'm talking about a particular experience. I've traveled by train, and the rest is unimportant. Have a look at number 3. We use the present perfect to talk about change that have happened over a period of time. Have a look. You have gained weight since I last saw you. So I'm talking about somebody's change, right? During a period of time. To list the accomplishment of individuals and humanity in history, for example, you can't mention a specific time. As we said before, we are not going to specify when the actions took place. Have a look. Man has walked on the moon, right? We are not saying when it took place. We are talking about the accomplishment of man, right? So, man has walked on the moon. All right. Also, we use the present perfect to say that an action which we expected has not happened yet. For example, he has not done his homework yet. And also, yet is an indicator of the present perfect. Normally, it goes in negative sentences to express that the action has not been completed. Good. We talk about a present perfect when we are talking about an action that you see the evidence in front of you. For example, two people are discussing and they are saying, "What happened to your arm?" Why? Why is this person saying, "What happened to your arm?" Perhaps because you are wearing a plaster, you have something on your arm, so I can see the evidence. Alright, and the person says, "I've just broken my arm." This action has just taken place. It's not happening at the moment. It is not past 2 years or 2 months, but I can see the evidence, right? So if you can see the evidence of something, you can use the present perfect. These are the expressions that we use with present perfect. We can use ever. Let me write something. For example, I can ask you, have you ever seen a famous person? Right? So if I say, have you ever seen a famous person? I'm asking about your personal experience. Alright, never. I've never seen a famous person. Once. I've traveled once to Italy, right? Many times. I've read this book many times. Recently. Recently, I've watched a comedy. Lately. I haven't heard about Susan lately. Already. Have a look at the position. I've already cleaned the house. If you check the position of already, you can see that it comes after have and before the verb in the third column that we have, past participle, right? Yet. We talked about yet and we use yet for negative and interrogative sentences. So I can say, I haven't finished my homework yet. Normally at the end of the sentence. And if I'm talking about just, I've just had lunch. So when we talk about just, is in the middle of have and the past participle. Other expressions, since and for. When I talk about since, I'm going to talk about the beginning of an action. For example, I've studied English since 1988, for example. So if I use since, I'm talking about the beginning of the action, when the action started. So what's the difference with for? I'm going to use for when I talk about all the period of time. For example, I've been a teacher for 25 years. So I'm talking about all the period of time, okay? Then we have the best, the worst. When I talk about superlatives, I'm going to use the present perfect. For example, this is the worst movie I've seen. This is the best book I've read. Alright, when I use superlatives, I'm going to use the present perfect tense. We have another expression like several times. Oh, I've watched this comedy several times. Before also, right? I've traveled to Italy before I went to Spain. Alright? So far, this is the best explanation of present perfect that I've seen. Okay? So we are going to use these expressions with the present perfect. So at the beginning of the video, I said that we were going to compare present perfect and the simple past. And this is what we are going to do right now. Well, so what happens with the simple past? We use the past simple to express the idea that an action started and finished at a specific time in the past. That's it. For example, I saw a film yesterday. So, this action started and finished yesterday. That's the indicator. Very good. Have a look at number 2. To list a series of completed actions in the past. For example, I came home, had dinner, and went to bed. We have 3 actions there that took place in the past. With a duration, with starts and stops in the past. For example, I lived in Brazil for 2 years. Alright, so I'm talking about the period of time that started and finished in the past. here I'm using the simple past. If I'm using the simple past and not the present perfect, it means that I am not living in Brazil at the moment. Alright? I live there, but at the moment I'm not living in that country. Okay? We use the simple past to describe a habit which stopped in the past. It's similar like used to. Alright? For example, I studied French when I was a child. So I'm talking about a past habit that I had. Do you remember used to? For example, when I was a child, I used to wear a uniform to go to school. Great! We use the past simple to describe past facts which are no longer true. For example, she was shy, but now she's outgoing. So something happened in the past, but now it's a different story. Now, what are the indicators that we have with the simple past? For example, yesterday. Yesterday I had lunch in a beautiful restaurant. 2 days ago. 2 days ago I went to the cinema. Last week I traveled to Buenos Aires. Last month I started my French classes. In 1997 I started working as an English teacher, right? So these indicators are going to help us check if we're talking about the present perfect or the simple past. Now, I'd like to show you some examples. You have 6 sentences. We're going to decide which tense are we going to use. If you want, you can pause the video and you can answer the questions. Then we can compare the answers. Alright, have a look at the first example. There we have, Helen ever tried sushi? If this will be my exam, what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to check the indicators. My indicator here is ever. And we said before that when we have ever in a sentence, we are going to talk about the present perfect. So, Helen, is it have or has? Great, is has. Why? Because Helen is she, right? Has Helen ever tried? This is regular or an irregular verb? You are right, it's a regular verb. So the verb is tried. Great. Has Helen ever tried sushi? Good. And besides that, we're talking about an experience, right? Have a look at number 2. In number 2, last night. Last night is my indicator. Is it for simple past or present perfect? You are right, past simple. Now, I need an auxiliary because my pronoun is you. So it's did. Did you go? That's right. Did you go to the wedding last night? And we're talking about completed actions. Good. Have a look at number 3. Have a look at the sentence. Check your indicator. We have never. Never indicates past simple or present perfect. You are right, present perfect. So, I'm going to say I've never been to Paris. And if you want to learn the differences between been and gone, I'm going to put here a video that I prepared some months ago about this topic. Great, have a look at number 4. Paul and Judith sings. Aha! When we have sings and we have for, we are talking about present perfect. So, Paul and Judith, that are they, right? Have, and my verb in the past participle be, was, be. Good. Paul and Judith have been married since 1978. Well, have a look at number 5. I in 2009. That's simple past. Come, regular or irregular verb? irregular verb, and the past form is I came. I came in 2009. Good. Our last question is how long car. Alright, how long is also a question for present perfect, right? But check here, the pronoun is you, so how long have you? We have here the verb know. Is it regular or irregular? Yes, it's irregular. So, how long have you known car? And that's it. So, what you have to do with the present perfect and the simple past is, first of all, you have to learn the differences between these two tenses. Let's recap. Remember, the present perfect is used to talk about experiences, and also when you don't want to be specific about the moment that an event or a situation happened, right? So you don't want to mention the time and the moment. In the case of the simple past, you specify that an action started and finished at a certain point in the past. Okay? So we have indicators for present simple, indicators for present perfect, and the exercise solved. Thank you so much for your attention. Don't forget to subscribe to Inglés para tu vida and share this video with all the people who want to learn English. Have a wonderful day. Don't forget to write some comments below, and see you in our next class. Bye!